Good morning. Yesterday, we were doing CO24, which is finding the new amount after an increase. Today, we're doing something very, very similar, but instead of increasing, we are decreasing. So when we increase, that would be like sales tax or doing a tip on your meal. When do you think we would decrease prices? When's the biggest time that we would use that? I love to see it on a daily basis. What would I love to see, Addie? Sale. I love going to the store and being like, ooh, the eggs are on sale. I'm going to get a couple cartons of eggs. Ooh, this shirt's on sale. I want to get it. Clearance rack, right? Saves us money. It's a good thing. We need to know how to figure out how much that new price is going to be. So, more situations you may be familiar with having to do with percentages. Oh, screen time. Last week you talked on the phone for 200 minutes or you were watching TikTok or, doing your videos and all that fun stuff. But you want to decrease that by 30%. You're like, whew, I wasted too much time on my screen. Let's decrease my screen time. So how many minutes we talk on the phone? This week you guys don't talk on the phone, you FaceTime, you chat with people, right? So, yeah, let's be real. Mr. Schultz is old, he's a boomer. He's saying you're talking on the phone. I know the real deal. I know you're just doing screen time. So instead of saying minutes, we're gonna say screen time, right? So that's legit real for you guys. The original price of a video game, let's say, is $80. This week it's on sale for 75% off. We want to know how much we're going to pay after that discount. Or as a goalie for your hockey team, we've got lots of hockey players in here. Let's say as a goalie for the hockey team, you gave out 3.7 goals per game last season. We're taking that average, right? This season, your goal is to decrease that by 24%. You don't want to give up those goals. So how many goals are you going to allow per game? So as we saw in that last objective in CO24, there are different ways that we can solve the same thing with the decrease. We're going to go through the two different ways to solve it. So our first, just like with the increase, is finding the amount, instead of the amount of increase, or finding the amount of decrease first. Okay. So let's look at our phone. We want 30% of that screen time of 200 minutes. What would that be? What is 30% of 200? Yeah. 60. So just like with the increase, we find what that amount is. Here's where it's different. When we increased, what did we do with that, Adley? We added. We're decreasing now. So what operation are we going to do, Hadley? Subtraction. So we're going to take that first original amount of 200 minutes, and we're going to subtract out that 60 minutes, and we end up with 140 minutes. So it's almost exactly like yesterday, but instead of adding, we subtract, because we're decreasing. So our number is going to be less than the original amount. So let's look at my video game. What do you think I'm going to write? What math calculation am I going to do, Christina? $75% of that original $80. What is that? Robbie? 20. No. 75% of 80 is not 20. You jumped ahead. What is 75% of 80? You're not sure? You're jumping ahead on me? David? 60. So that is what we want to subtract from that 80. So Robbie, what is 80 minus that 60? 20. So we're only going to pay $20. Whew. That is a great sale. Black Friday is coming up. Let's see if we can find those 75% off sales.
Oh, yeah.
Hockey. how am I going to set this up? What should I write? Eleanor.
24% of 3.7.
24% of 3.7, which is what? David?
0.888.
Now, David, we're going to round that to what place?
0.89.
Yes, we round to that hundredth place. So we're going to do 0.89. What's my next step? Harper.
Subtract 3.7.
Yes, so I have 3.7 minus 0.89. And what do I get? Hadley? 2.81. Okay, so starts off, the first step is just like yesterday's. Second step, instead of adding, we subtract. Very similar, but different. So instead of increasing it up higher, we decrease it to a lower number. So now let's look at finding the new total directly. So what do you think, based on what we know from this first method and what we know from yesterday, what do you think we're going to do? I love how Graham's just quick flipping back. What did we do for the increasing? How do I think that's going to change for the decreasing? We know there's going to be a formula. With the increase, there was a formula. Can anybody make a guess as to what that formula is going to be? What do you think, Harper?
Original number divided by,
Divided by? Okay.
yeah. 100% plus a percent.
Now, here's what I'm going to ask us. Think about what we did over here. We still multiplied. So over here, do you think we're going to want to flip to dividing? That multiplying is going to stay the same. We are still going to multiply. What are we going to multiply it by? Thinking about what we changed over here on this side, what do you think we have to change about our formula? I like that you were thinking of flipping. We just flipped the wrong thing. What do you think it's going to be?
The addition.
Yeah, so instead of 100% plus the percent, we're going to subtract that percent. So we're still doing that multiplication. That stays the same for both methods. Instead of adding, we subtract in both methods. Alright? So, looking at that screen time on our phone, how do you think I'm going to write out my calculation? What should I put? Graham, what do you think it should be? So that would be the 200 times 100 minus 30 would be 0.7, because I'm going to convert that percent right to the decimal. 100 times 0.7. What is 100 times, or sorry, not 100, 200 times 0.7? Tessa?
140.
I still get 140. Let's look at our video game. What calculation should I write out? What math are we going to do? Who can take a stab who doesn't normally take a chance? Who wants to take a chance that I don't normally hear your voice? Ruby?
80 times 100% minus 75%.
Perfect. So I keep that 80. 100 minus 75 gives me a 0.25. What is 80 times 0.25? Michael?
0.2.
Use your calculator. 80 times 0.25. So did you do that math already? And you got the 0.20?
No, I just put the decimal in the wrong.
Okay. So you were doing it in your head?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to remember that decimal is 0.25, so when you put it into your calculator, make sure that you're writing the right number. It's super easy to put those decimals in the wrong place. Okay, so always double check your answer. When I looked at that and I heard you say 0.2, I went, ooh, I love a good sale, but if it's $80, is it really gonna go down to 20 cents? Does that logically make sense? To go from 80 to 20 cents. I would love to buy a game for 20 cents, but that wouldn't be 75% off. That doesn't make sense. To me, that would be almost 100% off. That'd be like 99% off would bring it down to the 20%. So always think through your answer. Does it logically make sense? Okay, so that would be your first check, Michael, to see, oh, I put my decimal in the wrong place. Where did I go wrong? Because it just doesn't make sense. All right, let's look at the hockey. What would our calculation be, Claire?
3.7 times 0.7 for 100. Subtract 24%.
And you were already doing it in your head. It would be 3.7 times what?
0.76.
0.76. And it's okay to do that in your head. You can say, oh, 100 minus that 24. I know I'm multiplying it by 0.76. That's a legit mental math to do, right? This part, we want to use the calculator for to make sure we're doing it right. But I'm okay if we don't put this first step on there, if we just skip to the 3.7 times 0.76. Okay, that's a logical, yeah, I can do a little bit in my head, but I want to write the rest down. So what is 3.7 times 0.76? Vivi? 2.81. So just like we saw with that increase, it's the same thing with the decrease. Both methods give us the exact same answer. Okay, we just have to make sure that we're doing our steps correctly. You're going to decide which method you want to do. Okay. On these questions at the bottom of the page, it says, do not include a sales tax. We know in real life, on that video game, there would be a sales tax. We're not factoring that in. We're just going to factor in what that original amount is going to turn into, not worrying about sales tax right now. So let's look at our directions, or questions. The original price of the CD is $12, but it is on sale for 15% off. How much will you pay for the CD without the sales tax? Pre-sales tax. So what would your subtotal be? You buy 3 20-ounce bottles of pop for $1.80 each. You have a coupon for 5% off your total purchase. So when we see that it's 5% off your total purchase, that tells us what math do we have to do first. If it's the total purchase, what am I going to want as my very first step here? You buy 3 20-ounce bottles of pop for $1.80 each. Oh, pencils down. Let's see if we can figure out the answer to my question. Everybody focusing. You buy 3 20-ounce bottles of pop for $1.80 each. You have a coupon for 5% off your total purchase. What's my first step? Fallon?
You find $5.80 times 3.
Yeah, you need to find out what that total purchase is going to be. You need to either add up your 3 bottles of $1.80, or like Fallon said, oh, they're all the same number. I can multiply it by 3 instead of having to add $1.80 plus $1.80 plus $1.80. You get the same answer. $1.80 times 3, $1.80 plus $1.80 plus $1.80. You find that total first, and then you find what it's going to be with that 5% off. You pay with a $10 bill. Our question, the final answer you're going to give me is, what is your change? So I don't want to know what the subtotal amount is. I want to know what you're going to get in change after you pay. So always make sure you're answering the correct question. Let's look at our second page. We have a table just like in our last objective. Just like our last objective, you might have different names than what I have, but our math that we're doing is going to be the same. That's not changing. So it doesn't matter that our names are different. We're going to do the math. Okay? Just like we did in the table in the last objective, you're just finding what that final price is going to be. And it says find the new amount, just like in the last objective, you're doing your math to find that amount of the decrease, right? Finding what that final amount's going to be. Then again, we're going to that restaurant. You're going to work this through. I'm not going to tell you what steps to do. You're going to break it down. It is multi-steps. Challenge yourself. Can I follow through each of the steps to find the final cost of my meal? There are multiple steps to do, one step at a time. Think about what that step is telling us, what our information is telling us. One step at a time. Then you're going to do your review on the bottom, because our test is coming up next week. We need to be reviewing this. Okay. Any questions for me on this objective? Okay, we had 20 minutes of work time. Yesterday, we were using a lot of this work time because there's a lot of steps we go through. We're making sure we're doing it correctly. Always checking, first thing, does my answer logically make sense? Okay, if your answer's bigger than your original amount, you went wrong somewhere. Bam, right there, we know it's not logical. It's not a decrease if our number is bigger, right? Always double check, does it logically make sense? If you're watching this at home, I hope you are well. Do not forget, if you do get this finished before the 20 minutes is up, first thing you do is double check, is my Khan Academy done? Did I get 100% for all of my Khan Academies? Because I can always keep trying to get that 100% to get a full score. If your Khan is all done, math packets. I only have one so far that has that 100%, so keep working on that math packet. Bring it to me, we'll see if I can get some corrected. All right, so quiet work time. If you're watching at home, if you have questions, come see me. I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon.